Hello everyone, it's Seth, probably better known as Saffron Olive, and it's time for another Instant Deck Tech. So as you know, Tuesday means it's Type 2 or Standard Tuesday, and I'm super excited for our Standard decks this week because Hour of Devastation is here. We get to talk about some of the new cards, some of the new decks supported by the new cards, and we're starting off with probably the most hyped, definitely the most powerful, and biggest card from the set. That is Nicol Bolas God-Pharaoh coming to us in Bolas Control. Basically a Grixis control deck looking to top off the curve and close out the game with Nicol Bolas God-Pharaoh. Comes to us from T to Kuru, who took it to an undefeated finish in the infamous small Japanese tournament. But congrats to Ki on a super sweet deck. A quick reminder before we break down Bolas Control for Standard. If you enjoy this deck and you want to see it made into videos, take a minute, click the like button, the subscribe button, leave a comment, anything you can do to support your deck, because whichever deck is most popular gets a shot at being made into videos next week. So, Bolas Control, named after Nicol Bolas God-Pharaoh, the biggest and baddest planeswalker in Hour of Devastation Standard. So, the downside of Nicol Bolas is it's a million mana, but if we can survive with our removal, with our counters, with our tricks, long enough to get Nicol Bolas God-Pharaoh on the battlefield, it's going to take over the game super quick. The +2 generates card advantage, lets us put things directly on the battlefield. If we hit creatures, we get to play the card for free. Of course, there's a lot of variants. It could be Attune with Ether, it could be Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. Either way, it generates some amount of value when we +2 it. +1 attacks our opponent's hand if they have removal left over to deal with our Nicol Bolas or other stuff. -4 gives us a way to kill our opponent or take care of an annoying creature, but a few -4s should just kill our opponent directly. And then the ultimate, I don't know how often we'll use it, but it does give us a way to just sweep away everything and reset the board. And if we can have Nicol Bolas left over on an empty board, it's going to be super hard for us to lose from that position. So this is the payoff. This is what our deck's building towards. We also have Torrential Gearhulk, which does double duty. It's kind of our backup finisher. If we're not winning with Nicol Bolas, our only realistic way of winning the game is to flash in a Torrential Gearhulk, beat down for a few turns. But it's also a great way to survive until we get down our big planeswalker, because it can flash back a removal spell to kill another creature. It's big enough to block both things. So if we can live long enough on a fairly stable board to start casting Torrential Gearhulk, we're likely going to live long enough to get down Nicol Bolas as well. And once we get down Nicol Bolas, we should be able to take over and win the game pretty easily. So the rest of the deck is pretty scattered. It's like whoever built this deck said, I don't know exactly what Hour of Devastation Standard looks like, so I'm just going to play a little bit of every good Grixis control card in Standard and hope that I find the right answers at the right time. So removal-wise, Fatal Push and Magma Spray give us some turn 1 removal. Abrade gives us some multi-purpose removal, gets a Heart of Kira and gets an early game creature. Harness Lightning can kill something big if we have enough energy, and we do have a bit of energy production from our Glimmer of Geniuses. And then we also have Essence Extraction. Kill something, can gain us some life. To the Slaughter, Ruinous Path, and Nevermore give us ways to deal with planeswalkers as well as creatures. So a nice hedge there. Return from Never to Return can even be a bit of graveyard hate. Then we have Hour of Devastation as our sweeper. Kind of surprised to see this only as a one-of. I guess it depends on the format, but this seems like a super powerful card. So it might be worth playing more in the deck, but a great sweeper that not only gets rid of pretty much all the heavily played creatures in Standard, but opposing planeswalkers like Gideon or Nahiri as well. Then we have a bunch of different counters. Censor for the early game, also can cycle away if we don't have time to cast it or don't have a good target. Disallow can also fizzle planeswalker activations as well as countering something. Supreme Will in New Edition, and I love this card for these type of decks. Not only is it a little bit too expensive mana leak, but it also is a little bit too expensive impulse. So in the early game, we can counter a Gideon on turn 4, and then in the late game when Mana Leak loses a lot of its utility because our opponent can pay the mana, we can go digging for our Torrential Gearhulks, for our Hour of Devastation, for our Nicol Bolas to close out the game. And then one Commit to Memory works like a counter spell, sort of, on the front half, and then we can always flash it back and wheel our hand into a new hand with our Torrential Gearhulk if we think that's beneficial. Glimmer of Genius gives us some direct card draw, also energy to support our Ether Hubs, our Harness Lightning. We're not really an energy deck, but we do have those light energy synergies, so getting a couple energy isn't a bad thing. And then one Pulled from Tomorrow, which is just the biggest, baddest card draw spell in Standard. If we survive to the late game, it's almost another finisher. We cast this X5, X6, we refill our hand, we likely found our finishers or sweepers, whatever we need to close out the game. As far as the mana base, Ether Hub and Evolving Wilds give us some 5-color lands, essentially. Then a bunch of different dual lands and some basic lands, so pretty straightforward standard mana base. In the sideboard, the trend continues, a lot more 1 and 2 of, so Chandra, Glyphkeeper, and Kefnet give us very resilient threats. Glyphkeeper, really hard to kill. Kefnet dodges a lot of removal with indestructibility. Chandra can wipe away the board, closes out the game quickly. Kalitas, another creature, better in aggro matches, but fine in control as well. So for the most part, these are cards we're going to bring in that make our deck even better against control. Let's say we're playing a control deck. We don't really want Magma Sprays. We don't want Fatal Pushes. So we can bring in more big finishers to just slam down and take over the game and win the mirror match. Then we have a bunch of stuff for more, I guess, aggressive decks, removal and so forth. Chandra's Defeat to deal with red creatures or planeswalkers. Doomfall can attack our opponent's hand or their battlefield. To the Slaughter, some more planeswalker removal. Kefnet's the last word. I don't know the specific target for this, but I mean, it's a mind control with upside and downside. Then we have some sweepers and Sweltering Suns. Essence Scatter and Negate give us more counters, and that is Bolas Control for Standard. And that's been our instant deck tech for today, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, help us out by clicking that like button down below. And to keep up on all the latest and greatest, click that subscribe button. And don't forget to hit that bell icon to get alerts whenever we have new videos. And if you want to, check out some of our other sweet videos here and here.